Luckman. I'm Stakeholder Engagement Manager for the Trust Protocol. I sit in the UK, quite close to London, but I'm working internationally, particularly with brands and retailers, getting them engaged in this programme, having them understand the benefits of sourcing US cotton into their products, and making sure that our programme is keeping pace with what brands and retailers need. Keep US cotton on the list for those international buyers. And as you'll be aware, the primary programme that we're putting forward to brands and retailers is the Trust Protocol. Tillman.
Thanks, Tara. Good morning, everybody. My name is Tillman White. For those that don't know me, I'm the program manager for the Cotton Trust Protocol and work specifically within our field programs team, which basically means I get to work with our grower members, our ginners, merchants, cooperatives, and really just oversee some of their activities that they have within the protocol platform. So been with the organization for a little over 4 years now. I'm based here in Central Mississippi, and I'm excited to be here this morning and just want to thank Cotton Board for letting us join another session of Cotton Coffee. So with that, Tara, I'll pass it to you to get started.
Thanks. I should have said as well that Tillman and I will tag team this presentation, so keep you on your toes. So a little refresher, just in case there's anybody joining the call today that's new to this and the way that we describe the Trust Protocol, to orientate you on that. It's the voluntary sustainability program for growers, but it's also the traceability platform for all US cotton. As Tillman said, it's been going for 5 years now, so it's an exciting milestone for us this year as we report our results after 5 years.
Yeah, so starting off, just to give you some numbers where we stand as far as our membership, and like Tara said, looking at the 5 years of accomplishments for the Cotton Trust Protocol. First, I want to talk about the textile supply chain and where those members stand. So to date, we have over 2,800 global mill manufacturing members representing 40 different countries around the globe. And many of those mill manufacturing members within the protocol are actively scaling today. And what I mean by that is not only are they members of the program, but they're actively receiving shipment files from our U.S. exporters, whether that's our member cooperatives or member merchandisers. Shifting gears for the branded retailer, we also have around 45 plus brands, with many of them beginning to scale in the system as well. And in the last year or two, we've really seen some increase in activity from our brands, and that's something that I know Tara is going to touch on a little bit later. And it's exciting news to see that. Now, jumping to the field side, if we just take a step back and look at the 2025 enrollment, which we closed this year at the end of April, we saw a 14% increase in that grower participation. And what I mean by that is the number of growers that went through the enrollment process. We saw that 14% increase from the previous year in 2024. And from that membership, we captured almost 2.6 million planted acres across the entire Cotton Belt. Again, another increase, which was exciting to see. And looking at the overall U.S. planted acres, that was around 25% or more of the overall U.S. acres in the protocol. And diving a little bit deeper, for those that maybe aren't familiar with the enrollment process, so as our growers go through enrollment, they're documenting information about their operation at a high level at the farm level, but also they're answering questions as it relates to the field level. And so this being our 5th year of the Cotton Trust Protocol, we now have 5 years of aggregate data at the field level. And really what that does is that provides us more insight on how specific practices might vary across different regions, how they vary across states and different counties, and really allows us as an organization to showcase these different practices, different management practices, different production practices, crop rotation. And what we're able to do with that is when we aggregate that data, we're able to share that with our other members to show the impact those production practices have on certain metrics. And a final note is just to point out our board of directors, we have that number on there just to give you an idea of the representation we have on our board. So we do have representation for every segment of the U.S. cotton industry. For example, our grower representation, we have one representing each region of the Cotton Belt. So Tara, I'll pass it back over to you.
Let's have a little flavour of the brand and retailers in the programme. So some very familiar names for you, and maybe some names that might be less familiar on different sides of the Atlantic. But we're really proud of this achievement in 5 years, onboarding over 45 global brands. So some quite iconic names in here like Ralph Lauren, Carhartt, Levi's, Macy's, J. Crew. It really emphasises the importance in the market for sustainably grown cotton. The director of sustainability at Carhartt, Gretchen Valade, said that they pride themselves on a history of manufacturing gear that's built to last from day one with the best and most durable materials available. Becoming a member of the Trust Protocol enables us to continue our exploration into more responsibly sourced materials, which is the next step in our mission to leave a better world for the next generation of hardworking people. And having validations like that really is very encouraging and a significant mark of trust in our programme. And we're seeing increasingly, I'll show some more examples later of the kind of messages that brands are making public about their participation in the Trust Protocol. Most recently, I was a part of the Trust Protocol membership team that represented the programme at the Textile Exchange conference, just as one example of the kind of events that we attend where we're engaging with all members of the manufacturing supply chain and brands and retailers. That was really a productive event this year. A lot of talk and interest about the Trust Protocol. And in particular, we were getting a lot of new inquiries about regenerative cotton and regenerative practices for the Trust Protocol programme, which is something we're going to talk about a little bit later. So very timely. Engagement from the mill and manufacturing population is also very strong. Manufacturers play an absolutely vital role in the traceability system. So they're enabling brands and retailers to realize a fully transparent supply chain for their US cotton products. Over 2,800 global members now, growing all the time. All manufacturing regions for textiles are represented in the program. It really is making it very easy now for brands to then get on board, because they often find a new brand member will often find that many of their core large volume suppliers are already participating. So getting scaling happening for their brand becomes easier and easier. We've got companies in there, very prominent, like a Gildan, for example, also coming from countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, China, Latin America. The range, it really covers all of the manufacturing regions, where we've also got US cotton representatives that support the mills in taking up US cotton. So it's a joined up service that they can access as Trust Protocol members. And then back to field scaling.
Yeah, thanks, Tara. So if we take a look at again, some of the milestones we've seen at the field level, on the left-hand side, you can see this bar graph. It's just giving you an idea of the Trust Protocol enrolled planted acres highlighted in purple, and how that compares to the U.S. planted acres and also the U.S. harvested acres. And we can see slowly over time, we've been able to gain some ground with our membership, and really that has to do with our engagement with our current gin members, our merchants or cooperatives, and the help with other industry organizations. And you can just see kind of where those numbers stack up. And if we look at 2025, I've already mentioned the acres that we captured, almost 2.6 million planted acres. And what that came from was a little over 1,500 growers. So those growers, they registered in the platform, they went through the enrollment process, and from their participation, we captured that acre amount. And you can see here within this map, we had representation in all regions of the Cotton Belt, representing all 17 cotton producing states. And we also represented a little over 500 different counties across the Cotton Belt. And the last little data point I'll point out is on the right-hand side, you can see it says 21% acres reported in FTM. So that's the field to market section, which is that field level data I was mentioning earlier. So 21% of those acres were actually capturing field level data, again, providing some more insight from the granular data perspective. Tara, we can move to the next one. Thank you. So looking at this slide, I'm not going to go into the acres again. I've kind of already harped on this. You can see the growth in the acres that we've captured based on the participation. But Another number I want to point out is the actual bale volume that we're receiving from the grower participation in those acres that are enrolled into the platform. So if we just take a look at last year for 2024, we had a little over 2.5 million bales that were uploaded into the protocol platform. And as we're in the middle of a very busy time of year in the ginning season, we're a little over 1.5 million bales that have been uploaded to date. And those are constantly being sent to the protocol platform on a daily basis from our member gins, our merchants, and cooperatives. And one other thing I want to point out is just to give you some background of some of the activities and different systems that are communicating with one another during this time of year. So as we receive bale volume, let's say from one of our GIN members or a group of growers, within that text file of bales includes PBI information, so those permanent bale identification number. And what we do is as we receive that inventory, we send that off to the USDA AMS database because we want to confirm the authenticity of those specific bales. We want to ensure the GIN code matches with that GIN tag for that crop year. And once we receive confirmation from USDA, we then send it off to EWR. Therefore, with an open warehouse receipt, that receipt will be updated with a protocol flag. So the holder of those bales can see their inventory and see which bales might be coming from a grower who was participating in the Cotton Trust protocol. And I tell you all of that just to provide some insight of some of the activities, the different systems that are already existing in the U.S. cotton industry to date, and how we're communicating with them as bale volume are coming into the system. So Tara, I'll pass it back over to you to talk a little bit about some of the other milestones in the Texas supply chain.
Yeah, it's great. Feels like it's been a really productive year all around when you look at some of these numbers, how actively the membership's growing, how we're tracking the movement of cotton through into finished goods of brands and retailers. This last year, that we've just reported, 24-25, saw a really significant uptake in consumed US cotton tracked through our Trust Protocol traceability platform into hundreds of millions of finished products for brands and retailers. And with the indicative forecast that we've received from brands going into 2026, we're encouraged that uptake will continue to be strong and to continue to grow next year, because we really still see that this requirement to evidence cotton's origin is a strong motivating factor in the market. Brands and in turn their supply chains need to demonstrate compliance with sourcing policies. That's increasingly important for international brands to demonstrate their diligence in the supply chain where their cotton originated from. And then we also see brands scaling up with our program, having much greater confidence in reporting the progress they're making against their sustainability goals, their goals for nature, their goals for carbon emissions reporting. Still, we start to see Trust Protocol mentions popping up in a number of brand and retailers' annual sustainability reports, their websites, the communication they're providing to their customers about their products. I would say that marketing tools like on-product messaging is a really important extra added value area we extend to brands and retailer members. All businesses these days are treading quite carefully in the area of sustainability claims and marketing, with regulators hot on the trail on greenwash, for example. So we carefully curate the claims that the program can support, making sure that we're aligning with the latest regulatory guidance, and again, giving brands and retailers that trust element that they need. They know where the cotton came from, it's been tracked throughout the supply chain, they've got the data that came from protocol growers from the field, so they can really confidently talk about the environmental metrics associated with that and how that relates to their business goals, and also engage their consumers on being proud of the cotton that's in their products. One example worth mentioning is Lululemon. We work with them to release products made with US cotton. Macy's and workwear brand Strauss have been able to create products that include hang tags on the finished products to note that the garment's made with either protocol cotton or made with US cotton. We had Macy's and French group Kiabi also participate in some case studies with us. So if you'd like to read more about those, take a look on the protocol website. You can find the case studies with those brands. So yeah, I just emphasize that 5 years in, we're really seeing this increased mark of trust, confidence, and longer term commitment from our brand members. So we're always delighted to be able to point out these very visible examples in the market. Okay, let's get ready for next year.
Yeah, so the next few slides Tara and I are going to discuss, we'd like to go through some new and exciting updates we have within the Cotton Trust Protocol. Also give you some important dates that are important as we go into the new year for 2026. So coming up this new year, we're going to open up our 2026 enrollment for our grower members. So any grower throughout the Cotton Belt who would wish to voluntarily sign up into the Cotton Trust Protocol can do so starting in January, and we'll keep that open until the end of April. So giving growers around 4 months again to go through the enrollment requirements, register if they're new to the program, or if they're existing members, they can log back into their existing account and update some information as it relates to 2026. Within this portal, I also want to point out this login and registration. This is where other members can join as well. So our gin members, our merchants, our cooperatives, and our mill manufacturers, they go through the same portal to become a member. And this is a good site in order to learn more about the Cotton Trust Protocol, but also pointing them into how to become a member. So another update we have, looking ahead, if you can move to the next slide, Tara. Thank you. Is that the Cotton Trust Protocol, we've recently launched the Field Partner Program to scale traceable regenerative cotton. As we all know, within the industry in the last few years, we've been hearing a lot of buzz in the market about regenerative. And we know at the Cotton Trust Protocol that our grower members, based on historical data and what we've been capturing at the field level, is that they've been adopting a lot of these regenerative practices. If not recently, they've been doing these for many, many, many years. And what we see at the Cotton Trust Protocol is that this is an opportunity for us to demonstrate that to our brand and retailer members. And at the end of the day, hopefully creating more demand in the marketplace. And for this program, the field partners themselves will be organizations that are working with U.S. cotton growers to run their own private cotton sustainability program in collaboration with us at the Cotton Trust Protocol. And these field program partnerships hopefully will provide an opportunity to enhance the value for our members by leveraging our current infrastructure and what we have today at the Cotton Trust Protocol to support them with initiatives, avoid duplication of efforts in the market, and hopefully provide a greater sourcing choice for our brands and retailers. And in summary, at the end of the day, hopefully enhance value for our grower members. So Tara, I'll pass it back to you to talk a little bit more about the details of this project.
Yeah, so this was announced, our press release went out on this in September, the pilot that we launched to lay the groundwork for this scalable, verifiable supply of regenerative cotton that we see the opportunity to build in the US. We set out with 5 field partners, so they would be cotton merchants and co-ops that are Trust Protocol members. And we had about 100 growers representing about 150,000 acres for the pilot. It's a collaborative learning exercise, looking at how we bring together a relevant, credible regenerative cotton offering to members. So as Tillman was saying, we're really building on what we already have in the Trust Protocol, building on the data, the infrastructure for traceability that we have already created. And we've been able to leverage existing grower practice data and field data that's been shared with us in the program to identify the farms and the fields that meet the balanced set of regenerative production criteria. So this is designed to give that opportunity in the market for brands and retailers to get 2 things: traceable regenerative cotton, and paired with that, credible data to back up anything they need for their sustainability goals. So this is really timely. It's our direct response to the growing demand that we're seeing around regenerative materials. And we've got 4 objectives that we're working with in the pilot. We want to assess market demand together with field partners. We want to know how much appetite there is for there genuinely in the market for sourcing regenerative cotton bales coming from Trust Protocol member brand demand. We want to really test and enhance the field partner relationship. So it's a new way of working with our member cotton merchants and co-ops, strengthening their role in supporting the assurance process and giving them a bit more flexibility in the way that they can deliver more reactively to what the market is asking for. To prove end-to-end traceability, so demonstrating that we can trace regenerative cotton bales through the value chain to finished products. And most importantly is to validate the credibility for this. So producing a robust set of technical requirements and a multi-level assurance system to support this so that it can compete in the market with existing regenerative offerings. So should be a clear path to market. And running a pilot has enabled us to finesse this approach, make sure it's reliable, scalable, affordable, integrates best practice. So we've got a number of things to try and consider as we build it. And we really don't want any growers to miss market opportunities. So we're rapidly integrating this new capacity and making adjustments into the protocol platform as we work out how this works best for all stakeholders. How it works in different regions, whether we need to make any adjustments to criteria, data capture, and so on, how we'll trace and identify a regenerative bale, and yes, getting feedback from everybody involved to really hone this new approach. So in the pilot, we were able to use the grower data that we already had in the protocol platform as a start point, identifying regenerative practice uptake at the farm and field level. And new technique for us, we've introduced remote satellite imaging sensing technologies with third-party assurance providers to help us validate regenerative practice uptake at the field so that what goes out to market is really well evidenced. So having tested this, we're now integrating grower enrollment and data capture steps into the main protocol platform so that growers will be able to identify their regenerative eligible fields alongside regular protocol enrollment all in one place. So for those growers that were participating in this pilot for the 2025 crop, and for those growers wanting to take up this opportunity for the coming crop in 2026, we're now readying the protocol platform to handle that information. So if you're a grower and you're interested in participating, please do look out for this as you come to enroll for the protocol from January onwards. Fill out your self-assessment questionnaire, and it's that detail that is going to give us the information on which of your farms and fields show eligibility for regenerative. The Trust Protocol team will review that enrolment data, confirm eligibility against our criteria, and then in the following enrolment cycle, so that would be 2027 enrolment cycle, you would then provide the field data for those fields. So it goes on in the cycle. Tillman, should we have a refresher on traceability?
Yes. So briefly, just kind of want to go over the traceability solution of the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol. So if you remember back at the beginning with our mission statement, the Cotton Trust Protocol is a voluntary sustainability program for U.S. cotton growers, but also the traceability solution for all U.S. cotton. And so this slide right here, there's a lot of different moving pieces, but I think this really captures what we're doing as far as the traceability aspect of the cotton industry and how we're capturing that. So what we've done at the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol is created a program called the Protocol Consumption Management Solution, or we just call it the PCMS. And this is a technology solution that is allowing the tracking of two fiber types. So we have U.S. cotton, so all U.S. cotton, and protocol cotton. So cotton coming from growers who are members of the Cotton Trust Protocol. And what the PCMS is doing is it's connecting two different digital platforms. So you can see here on the left-hand side and right-hand side, highlighted in blue is just the protocol platform. You can see which members and their activities, or which members, spend most of their time in those platforms. So for example, in the protocol platform, our growers are going through enrollment, or gens are uploading bales on behalf of their grower members, and then our cooperatives and merchants are also uploading bales, but also they can upload shipments to the textile spinning mills. And then that's where the handoff is to the other digital platform, which is Textile Genesis. So within the Textile Genesis system, this is where textile mills are recording their transactions as they're receiving that raw fiber, the conversion of how that fiber goes into a yarn, uploading documentation to keep track of where that fiber is moving throughout the value chain. And so again, at a high level, what we're trying to do is provide a solution for a fiber forward article level traceability platform, which basically creates a digital representation of how that fiber is physically moving throughout the supply chain. And just want to name off a few things that in particular that this system is allowing our members, in particular our brands, especially as it relates to US cotton and protocol cotton. So for one, what it's doing is it's creating the transparency and accuracy within that actual inventory as it moves. It's also allowing transaction validation being recorded within a digital system that these members can access. It also allows volume reconciliation and assurance for our brand and retailer members. It also allows complete visibility for them at each production stage. And finally, it validates the cotton fiber that will eventually go into their finished products. So again, there's a lot of different moving pieces, as we know, in the textile supply chain. But what we've done at the Cotton Trust Protocol is create this system that provides a digital solution for how that cotton is moving physically throughout the supply chain. So with that, Tara, I'll pass it back to you to talk a little bit about some of the opportunities that we see that can drive demand.
Yes, just a couple of slides left here before we turn over to questions. I really wanted to end on what we believe are the positives going into 2026. There are big opportunities for US cotton that we are looking to support. So traceability is a big one, number one driver, I would say, for brands and retailers. I was mentioning earlier that this is quite compliance driven. So this is about brands and retailers needing to manage their risk exposure on where their cotton is coming from and any social and environmental risks that they would not want to be associated with, and they're able to prove that, that they've taken responsible sources like US cotton. Ongoing and possibly new trade advantages, so enabling the evidence that's required to access things like the proposed BACA arrangement or other tax incentives for bringing US cotton back into US finished products and other international trade opportunities that can be that brands can take advantage of if they can prove where their cotton came from. And then also the support for their marketing and reporting claims. So avoiding accusations of greenwash is absolutely dependent on being able to evidence what's behind your claim. Can you prove what's indeed in your products and where it came from in order to support the sustainability claims you might be making? Regenerative is a new market opportunity. We see really a US grower advantage here because of the work we've done to look at the historic data. We can see the practice uptake on regenerative practices that is evident over the last 5 years and growing. So we can really see a large population of the Trust Protocol grower community being eligible on some, if not all, of their farms and fields. So really encourage growers to get involved and see that, realise that market opportunity for a more premium fibre. And then associated with that, hot off the press, you might have spotted that the USDA recently announced Regen program funding at $700 million. So that really also emphasises the interest and support for regenerative program adoption. Our NCC chairman commented on how this will directly support US cotton growers' efforts in adopting more sustainable practices, reducing input costs and building healthy soils, and that we believe this investment will yield long-term benefits for cotton and the broader agricultural industry. So we're really pleased to see this action from US government committing to support American agriculture, and we're dedicated to supporting it through the Trust Protocol and playing our part in that. All in all, great timing and great opportunity for US cotton together. So being able to realise that through our protocol and bring it to market is really pleasing. And then finally, next-gen data. So we want to be able to stay on the leading edge of data services for the sector, translating what happens at the field and in the value chain into tangible use cases and value for brands and retailers at the other end of the value chain, demonstrating progress against sustainability goals with data that they can trust, continuously advancing that with the latest thinking and technology. And again, going back to the regenerative opportunity, regenerative outcomes will rapidly become a key component of providing that set of next gen data that the market is really looking for. We're well positioned.
Yeah, thanks, Tara. So wrapping up here, couldn't wrap up without putting a plug for the field programs team, especially as we're about to launch into our 2026 enrollment. Just wanted to let anybody out there, whether you're a grower or work with growers, this is our field program team. So we have our director, Chaz Holt, who I think is on the call this morning, myself, and then Marion Finley, who's our grower enrollment specialist. So as we go into the new year, we're going through enrollment. Anybody has any questions about the protocol, please reach out to any of us three. If you have any questions about the field partner programs, you can always reach out to us as well. So with that, thank you again. And Shelley, I'll pass it back over to you.